अमेरिकन पाकिस्तानी एडवोकेसी ग्रुप की जानिब से अपनी नौयत के मुनफरिद काम करने का सिलसिला जारी है। एपैग के ज़ेर एहतमाम न्यूयॉर्क सिटी में पाकिस्तानी यूथ प्रोफेशनल नेटवर्किंग सेमिनार मुनक़िद किया गया। इस अहम तरीन सेमिनार में पाकिस्तानी अमेरिकन कम्यूनिटी की न्यूयॉर्क समेत अमरीका भर में मुख्तलिफ शोबा-हाए ज़िंदगी में नुमायाँ खिदमात अंजाम देने और अहम इदारों में तैनात अहम शख्सियात और अमरीका के मुख्तलिफ तालीमी इदारों में ज़ेर तालीम पाकिस्तानी स्टूडेंट्स और ग्रेजुएट होने वाले स्टूडेंट्स को एक साथ बिठाया गया। सेमिनार में हेल्थ एक्सपर्ट डॉक्टर साक़िबा सैयद, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के माहिर सैयद अली तिरमिज़ी, फेडरल रिजर्व बैंक न्यूयॉर्क में खिदमात अंजाम देने वाले मोहम्मद अरशद, न्यूयॉर्क सिटी के कमिश्नर ओथ आसिम रहमान, डिप्टी पुलिस इंस्पेक्टर न्यूयॉर्क अदील राना, किंग्स लैंड प्रॉपर्टीज़ के चीफ एग्जीक्यूटिव और एपैग के सरबराह अली रशीद, न्यूयॉर्क सिटी डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के सिविल इंजीनियर आफाक सुलहरिया, मैनेजमेंट कंसल्टेंट जोहेब डार और न्यूयॉर्क फायर डिपार्टमेंट के डिवीजन चीफ फारूक मोहम्मद ने खुसूसी शिरकत की। अमेरिकन पाकिस्तानी एडवोकेसी ग्रुप के सरबराह अली रशीद और उनके साथियों के ज़ेर एहतमाम सेमिनार की चीफ गेस्ट काउंसल जनरल पाकिस्तान आयशा अली थीं। सेमिनार का आगाज़ तिलावत कुरान मजीद से हुआ। सुल्तान रशीद ने अपनी साथी मेज़बानों के साथ सेमिनार के पहले और दूसरे सेशन में निज़ामत के फ़राइज़ अंजाम दिए। आइए इस अहम तरीन सेमिनार की मुकम्मल तफसीलात देखते हैं।
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह रब्बिल आलमीन अर्रहमानिर रहीम।
About the four pillars of American Pakistani Advocacy Group. Why we founded this organization 3.5 years ago was to make sure that our community gets what it needs, our community gets what it wants. The first pillars of American Pakistani Advocacy Group is civic engagement. We want local elected officials to have local youth like yourself to be part of the political system. We want to not have the seat at the table, we want to have the whole pie now. We have numbers, we want to make sure that we are getting what we need. So we definitely we have a big focus on civic engagement. And second pillar, as Sultan said and I want to mention, is the women and youth empowerment, which is so big for American Pakistani Advocacy Group. We work with basically a lot of the PSAs and get the women a platform that they feel comfortable, especially the youth, so they could come and enjoy. And this is the kind of a brainchild of a lot of the youth that we have. Our third pillar is to make sure we promote entrepreneurship and professionalism that's in the Pakistani American community. And this event was basically combining the youth and the professional and the entrepreneurship together to come up with that, Pakistani American work together, give together, and they are a big fabric of New York City, and the United States of America. And our fourth pillar is about making sure that we're promoting our Pakistani heritage and culture. I was not born in the United States of America, but my son did. I want to make sure when he grows up and his family grow up, they have a connection with the Pakistani culture. They know what we stand for. They know what our culture is. So that's the four basically pillars of American Pakistani Advocacy Group. Now, a couple of the things that American Pakistani Advocacy Group did, I want to kind of present it to you. The first time ever when we were launched, making March 23rd a Pakistan Day in New York State Assembly. This was never done before. We went over, we spoke to a lot of elected officials, and that's how we will launch our first our event, to making March 23rd a Pakistan Day. Then we went ahead and worked day and night during the COVID, and we were the first South Asian organization to start delivering and providing food. Because of that, we were the only organization that were recognized by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo at that time. Also, our foreign minister at that time, Mohammad Arshad, also put us at the foreign minister honor list. That was a big thing for us, So, also, after that, we did something for our brothers and sisters for Kashmir. Kashmir is a human rights issue, but I just want to point out that it's never been done, that we were the first organization to put a resolution in February 5th, which is the Kashmir Solidarity Day, to make Kashmir Solidarity Day in New York State. That was the first resolution ever to be done in whole Western Hemisphere. In Europe it has happened, from Canada down to America, this has never ever happened. And we have done other events, but last year, in 2021, we were thinking, what else can we do for youth? What else can we do? And a lot of our committee members came together, it's like, there's no scholarship for Pakistani American. There's not a scholarship for other, so we launched the first ever APAG Chairman Mohammad Arshad scholarship last year. And that was given to 10 individuals. We were basically focused on New York, because there's no scholarship. And that's what we want, inshallah, this year we're expanding it to 20 scholarship, and I will talk about it a little bit later, that the application will be opening in next month or two, and we'll give that in the fall. So look for that out. And now this function, we were trying to do something for the youth, having a convention, and we have a lot of members from Hunter PSA, they joined us, right? So we come together, our team and their team, we put together this event, basically bringing youth together. So we were like, what can we do something different, right? We have scholarship, we have done a lot. How can we empower our community further? And we need to put professionals and the youth together to learn and educate and network. Because, our youth is all over, but here we have, I'll say about 35% professionals and 65% youth. And to give a round of applause for each professional, each of you, everyone, to make it a Saturday in this beautiful. So give a round of applause to all of you guys. This team is a lot of work together to put this event. We had, a lot of calls to event like that. We have a great panelist set up for you. We will announce, we want you to learn, network, and meet each other, and make sure that you go around and meet everybody, and share your business cards. And if you're interested in a particular field, we have basically every single field that you think of, from STEM, from public service, from FDNY, NYPD, entrepreneurship, everybody we kind of put together here, and with all the professionals for you guys to learn, network, and empower yourself. We want you to be the next leaders, right? We want some of you to come out, be in politics, be in journalism, be in sports, but also be part of the civic engagement work, which is very important. So with that being said, while you enjoy the program, definitely, if you have any questions, I met most of you, look up American Pakistani Advocacy Group. If you want, I know a lot of people have already asked me, they want to join us, they want to volunteer with us. So go to our website, apagusa.org/membership, fill out a form, one of our board members will reach out to you and make sure that empower you and come together, and you can learn, volunteer, become the next leaders. You're going to be hearing from a great, wonderful panelists that we've, all the team put together. This is the APAC team and the Hunter PSO team and all the other youth that were involved with this. So without further ado, I welcome you all again. We also want to give a special shout-out to our Consul General Ayesha Ali, who's with her. So please give a round of applause to our Consul General. She always make the time to come, and that's how we want, right? A person who are dedicated for the country and wants to see our community in New York go further. So without ado, thank you everybody. Enjoy the program, network, learn, meet people. Any question you have, this is an open panel. And one thing, there's never a bad question. You guys are students, youth, it should be open. This is your learning stage. So don't feel like, this is a bad question and everything. Feel free. We want to give a platform which is comfort for everybody to use, learn, and grow from this. So thank you, enjoy your program. We'll start with our first panel.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Saqibah Syed. I'll start this because mine is an easy response. How did my journey start? Well, I come from a Pakistani household, right? So what do we want our children to become, right? Doctors, engineers, right? So the infrastructure was already set. And I'm blessed. It was great guidance, and I would not regret any single thing. I did want to become a doctor, and it started actually in high school. You always want to do something. We were always told, you gotta be the best, why did you get a B, 90's not good enough, and I think that was setting the stage of trying to be the best version of yourself, right? So whatever your parents say and try to make your life miserable sometimes, it's because they want the best version of you, that's it. My journey was a little different. I was born and raised in New Jersey. And after high school, I was given an option. One, do you want to become a doctor living here, or do you want to go back to Pakistan and pursue medicine? So I decided to take the latter route, based on two things. One, it was going to take me 5 years if I went back home. Over here was 4 years undergrad, and then a year in between probably, and then probably 4 years of medical school, right? This was back in the late 1990s, right? Way back when. So I said, all right, I'll save myself 4 years, and I'll go back home. I was privileged to have my grandparents there, my family there, so I stayed with them. I went to King Edward Medical School. I got into King Edward, which is one of the top medical schools in Pakistan. And did I have any regrets of not going here? Not at all. It was a culture shock because me being American Pakistani, very proud American Pakistani, but I was growing up with a culture that was taught by my parents of how Pakistan was, and they were taught me a culture of Pakistan in the 70s. Now, I went to Pakistan in the 90s. Totally different culture. We were more conservative being brought up here. But anyway, it was a blessing. I learned the language, I learned the people, and the most important thing is I learned to be grateful for what I'm blessed with. You really learn to see where we come from. Our forefathers really struggled to give us an identity as Pakistanis, and we need to really be proud of what they went through. Being part of that culture and going through medical college in Pakistan was a very interesting process, but alhamdulillah, we went through it. I came back here, got into residency, and did it at Newark, New Jersey, which is one of the hardest places to get a residency, or do a residency in, because we did 48 hours straight. Then I went on, and I did start the first hospitalist program in New Jersey in 2006. At that point, hospitalist was not an accredited fellowship. Now apparently it's a separate fellowship that you have to do boards for. I was a pioneer in that. We set up a first hospitalist program, then I went on and I established my own practice. I was then hired to become the medical director of internal medicine by RWJ in New Jersey. And then I went on to pursue a finance degree, an MBA, because the medical side of business is totally different from medicine. And I didn't understand it. And people were like, well, doctors are not good business people. I said, well, let me prove you wrong. So I went to a Rutgers MBA program, and I went and did an executive MBA, and kind of worked through the system and kind of helped stratify on how to improve healthcare outcomes in New Jersey in lower income areas. So then went ahead and was awarded a position to work in northern New Jersey to help build up the ambulatory center for internal medicine. So right now I'm practicing as an internist in New Jersey, and the reason why I became a doctor is because my parents wanted me to become a doctor. That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, like Doc mentioned, I come from a traditional lawyers, doctors, engineers sort of family too. I was like, I'm gonna break this jinx. I don't want to be what you guys are. So back in the 90s, computer era, Windows, or technology guys. So I got into computers pretty early in my career, and that just because it was at that time it was a hype. Everybody's getting into softwares or hardware or engineering, and even the best institutes in Pakistan like UET, which Engineering University Lahore I went to, didn't have even a computer engineering program at that time, back in mid 90s, right? So I was the first batch of computer engineering in Pakistan in UET Lahore. And then, from there, I had a good friends who were looking to do something different than the traditional.
Keep your mic close.
Yeah, than the traditional, the mechanical, electrical, or all these civil engineers. So we used to be looked down in the university on that first batch, IT guy, what are we gonna do? But I was like, yeah, we're a little different, right? So, so alhamdulillah, it went well. Did the 4 years from there, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of alumni group from family. So I ended up in master's program for Cambridge in UK. And this is where I did my master's in communication and systems engineering, and so joined kind of a degree in information systems. And then it was a journey where I started liking it, right? So initially it was a kind of a hype program, and after that I started liking it because you got to be passionate about what you do. Otherwise, what's the point of being in a profession which you don't really like? And then from there, starting from then master's program in UK, and then a couple of good companies, private equities and finance is where I started from, hedge funds, and then thanks to the company who sent me over to the United States back in 2012. And at that time I was working for Boeing in Seattle, Washington as a systems engineer, working on the black box technology. So every single plane going in the air, they have the black box logs which talks and transmission data into the data centers. And so my team was responsible to make sure that every single plane on the planet from Boeing goes into the air, their logs are getting replicated into the data centers. So once we pull the data out, there's availability. And then from there, I worked in different roles, different organizations, from Boeing to Lockheed Martin, and back in Virginia, a couple of years from there. And the last 7-8 years, I've been with Accenture. And I must say, Accenture gave me that platform which I was really looking for, which is pretty high-end, diverse, enterprise-grade projects. Where you're working on thousands and thousands of machines. And then we all know this is the era of machine learning, artificial intelligence, right? And sadly, we didn't have that much of programs going on in Pakistan based upon AI and all those development operations or automations and stuff. So 2 years ago, looking into Ali and getting influenced by him, and I started a small company. I was like, whatever I can do in my capacity. So we started a company, alhamdulillah, we got good 170 odd employees now in Islamabad, where we are teaching as well as getting outsourced projects from US and other offshore from Europe. And projects specifically based upon automations and artificial intelligence. Accenture journey has been great. As I say, you take care of a company take care of you. So I've been loyal to them, they've been loyal to me, and thank God, and things are going well. We've been doing pretty high-end projects these days, from building IoT sensors for manufacturers like Caterpillar or Ford, and I'll be happy to share anything you guys, how many technologies we have. Anybody looking to pursue career in technology? There you go, I see a few hands. But yeah, so feel free to reach out, and it'll be a pleasure to share my experiences and whatnot, and any other upcoming questions regarding technology, I'll be happy to answer.
So, like many here, I do not come from a family of doctors or engineers. If anything, I was the first one from my family to go to school in the United States. I come from a second-generation family. My father was a taxi driver for 30 years in New York City. So he paved the path for us, and here we are. My journey starts from anybody from CUNY school here? CUNY line. This is great. So in about 2008, 2009 is when I set foot on the country. We were in and back, spent a few years in Pakistan, then came back to the country, and every summer we would come visit our father. Did I knew I was going to be an engineer? Did I knew I was going to, engineering kind of chose me. In a way in which I believe, I don't know if that's still the rule, but in the CUNY application, you're allowed 6 schools you can apply to within one application, correct? So I chose 6 different majors for each school. I didn't know what I wanted to do and I told myself, whichever school responds first is the career that I'm going to choose for myself. Fortunately, New York City College of Technology was the first school that got back. I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I started my career off in associates in civil tech. From there, 2 years later, I'm like, you know what? I'm so tired of this. I want to go to a school really, really far away. There was a school right across the street, NYU Brooklyn. I ended up going there. Then I'm like, after 2 or 3 years from there, I finished my bachelor's in civil, and then I started my career. My first professional job. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
In the back. I have family in the back. Can you hear me? Yeah. No, I'm getting a no.
They can't hear you.
Third one? Oh, okay. This is the one. All right. Third time was the charm. Close? All right. I don't want to get my spit on it for the next day. All right. All right. That's fine. So, where was I? From NYU, I started my career off. The first job that I landed right out of school was with the New York City Department of Transportation, and fortunately, I have been with the same company for the last 8 years. Made my way there, grew my path, started off as an assistant civil engineer, Then we went on and moved on to become an engineer, then project manager, and now currently I'm serving as a senior project manager, in which we oversee any citywide concrete, any in-house construction that the city does is what my unit oversees. I know there's a lot of work the city does. What makes our unit a little special is that a lot of the work that the New York City does itself is bidded out to contractors. I oversee an in-house construction unit. We started back in 2015 is when I graduated. Back in 2015, we were a team of about 50 professionals. Now we're at 350 to 400 people, employees all in-house. We do a lot of the in-house concrete work for city, so there's about 12,000 miles of sidewalk in the city that we oversee. With that, there's traffic medians and stuff like that. So while I was in school, I had the opportunity to pursue my master's. So from engineering, I took a slight turn, got my master's in construction administration from Columbia University, and that also opened up a lot of doors within career-wise. So Ali Rashid, I've been following you for a while. There's a bunch of events that he asked me to come beforehand, but I've always found my way to find an excuse. But as soon as he mentioned this is something for the youth, this is something for the kids, I suckered it. I was like, let's do it. You don't have to ask me twice about this. Really appreciate what you guys have been doing, what APAG has been doing for the community, and I've always been looked up to you and admire you as an individual. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And before I go, are there any engineering background students here? All right, we're few, but we're loud, right? We're few, but we're loud. I want to meet anybody with the engineering or science background. Please, I hope to exchange information with you. If you guys are looking for an employment opportunity within the Department of Transportation or New York City in general, please, let's exchange information. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you everybody for the opportunity for me to be here. How did it get started? So most of my teens, I grew up in Pakistan and moved here and started college. I started with a plan, but that's where I will start with. First thing, have a plan, but keep it flexible. Engineering degree, as Moses mentioned. So started with chemical engineering degree. So I'm also very happy that there are a lot of PSA and under college students and students from throughout the CUNY, because CUNY has given so much to me. I've been part of student government, and I recommend everyone to do join your student government as well, because that opens up a lot of opportunities. So I did start with engineering, but I never did a single day of employment in any engineering company or any engineering work. But what I took from engineering is problem solving. So any problem there is, I'll roll up my sleeve and get into it and help find solutions. And that's what I loved about it, and I enjoyed it. After engineering, I went into MPA. No connection, but how it started was I was having a lunch with one of the college VPs who had been an ambassador to Bangladesh. And she was like, you know what, you've been really good. We are starting this new program. Colin Powell is coming, and he's starting the program, and it's going to be public administration. There's going to be a lot of leadership, education in that. I think you'll be good at it. She wrote the recommendation, no application. I was in school. I got admitted, full ride scholarship, and I just went from engineering into MPA. So that tells you that the opportunities are there. Graduating from CUNY school, no loans, nothing, and it's good education. You see most of us here from CUNY, and sitting in front of me also, my colleague also from CUNY. CUNY gives you opportunities. In masters, again, I was in student government, university student senate. I led the university student senate, which is also, I got to sit with the board of trustees as a voting member. Even faculty members don't have like a vote to decide on whether you probably have heard of pathways when you're transferring your credits and accreditation and stuff like that, all of that. As a student, you get to sit with the executives, people who lead NYU, people who are from the mayor's office. They are appointed, these trustees are appointed from the governor and the mayor. So you get to sit with them, you get to experience how they analyze information in the committees, whether they talk about policy or whether they talk about finance, whatever your background is. Throughout my graduate two-year degree, I got those opportunities to sit next to them and learn from them. And that's what I would recommend, and that's what you're picking as a student as well. It's not like nowhere you're gonna go in the very first day, they're gonna be like, yeah, we expect you to be expert, here's $1 million, go solve this problem. It's not gonna be like that. They want you to kind of like be malleable, learn. And that's what gives you the opportunity, not just the education itself, you're gonna get a certificate, you're gonna get a degree, but also go and learn what the opportunities are. And then he mentioned entrepreneurship. entrepreneurship. You have Zan Center at Baruch, you have your own another competition over there. I got the opportunity to participate in that as well. That gives you, that opens doors. Even if you don't kind of like have a successful company that has a lot of employees, you get to experience to be the head of human resources and head of CFO and COO and CEO at the same time. That gives you opportunities. So that's what CUNY gave to me. I got to testify in front of city council, state council, and that kind of like led to me to get into consulting, again, through a lunch, and straight into, that was my first in capital markets company, the straight through recommendation into second one. The third one I actually had to apply for. That's the current one. And I do have to say, I work at Federal Reserve Bank of New York, but anything that I am saying right now are views of my own. We have to say that, and every event that we go to, that they are now representing Federal Reserve Bank of New York. And I'm looking forward to more questions to get to share more information.
You know, what's the biggest asset for any company, right? The data. Their data, the time they spend in collecting that data, right? That's the biggest asset. So the most important question we get asked whenever we go and transform a company's infrastructure, right, is that how quickly can you transform me? How quickly can you move me to the latest and greatest flavors of the technology? And I'm like, you know, we could take 10 days, it could take 20 days, or whatever, depends on the size, but how secure my data will be. So it could be a manufacturing company, right? They have their own assets, and you know, the biggest fear for any company in the world is losing their data, which means losing their experiences, losing their assets. AI, certainly, you know, I don't know how many of you watch tech news, or there's a program called TED, right? TED. So that program, I must say that, you know, there's always, no matter what career or what profession you choose, there's always an attitude which comes with that. How passionate are you about it, right? I'm passionate about technology, so I make sure I sign up for seminars, right, which will keep me up to date with the technology, what's going on around the world, what's new upcoming. And similarly, AI, right? So if you've probably seen the news, Mercedes-Benz, one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world, right? They recently transformed their static robots into dynamic robots, right? What's the point of building a robot which we can only just build the hoods, right? What if today you gotta build the tires or wheels, right? That means that robot is no good. So the project came to us, and you know, we've been asked to convert these the static robots to dynamic robots, right? So they can perform multiple jobs. Same project we did for Ford as well, so obviously it was an experience thing for us to build those sensors. But anyway, so imagine how much money, how much workforce they're saving, right? So they used to have, in one facility, over 40,000 employees working across different components, different segments of the car. Now, there's a YouTube video up there, right? Have a look at it. Now there are only 30 people in that facility, because the rest, everything has been done by robots, right? Which means, imagine how much work there's, you know, people might be thinking that people have lost jobs, but now those guys are doing something different, right? Something else, which robots can't do probably these days. Always look for the buzzwords going around the world, right? So at the moment, AI is a huge buzzword, right? Knowing about the buzzword, we have a facility of search engines these days, right? Go into artificial intelligence, take a look at what other components and buzzwords are associated with that, right? You will see artificial intelligence, you will see DevOps, right? Development operations. You will see automations, right? So what is all this? And then you read about it, right? What companies are investing these days is looking into automate their procedures, right? So, you know, it could be a financial company, it could be a HR, in every company, right? HR has it. So how quickly they can, you know, automate their things so they can decrease the amount of tasks, decrease the amount of time, and then perform, you know, get most of the productivity out. And that's what the AI space is, right? We try to save time and assign those tasks which robots can do, versus a human, you know, time gets wasted on that. So.
Thank you for inviting me, first of all, to this amazing event. I think it's very necessary for our youth to be involved in these type of things and hear about the opportunities that they can get involved with in their careers and in their futures. My journey in this department has been an interesting one, but my first experience with first responders was when I was about 8 years old, and I think it's about 8 years old. My brother's here, you can probably verify the age, but I was at home in our apartment with my mom and dad doing stuff that I wasn't supposed to be doing, climbing chairs and stuff, and split my ear in half. My mother saw it, passed out, cold, lying on the floor. EMS was called, and I was taken into the ambulance, and the compassion shown by the provider was it just touched me at the time. I recognized it, and it's something I never forgot. And then moving forward, I experienced a tragedy as a young teenager when I was standing across from Monkey Masjid. I'm sure you guys know that masjid, right? So I'm standing across the street, and I have a friend there that I'm talking to, and his brother runs across the street and gets hit by a car, and I just felt so helpless seeing him on the floor and not being able to do anything. It's just something that stuck with me. And I saw the EMS providers come and do what they did and take him away. Unfortunately, he passed, and I saw the bystanders and the parents crying, and the whole experience. I just took it all in, and it was like something difficult to navigate, but I didn't forget it. Fast forward, I'm a young teenager, and my friend, he mentions EMS to me. He's like, hey, listen, we can take this program. Are you interested? I immediately had interest. I've already, like I said, had this in my mind, and I thought, hey, I can learn to help save lives. And that's what started my career. And I started as an EMT, and I immediately was submerged in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, and we encountered shootings, stabbings, you name it, we saw it, we did it, we responded, and we treated people, and we helped them. And from then on, it was supposed to be like a 3-year career for me. Like I was just gonna check it out and leave, right? But I just really appreciated the opportunity to be able to help and navigate these very difficult situations, because it's not only physical, it's also mental, right? You have to take these things in that people run away from, right? Violence and gore, and I don't want to get into the details, but just imagine the things I've seen over the 27-year period that I've been a first responder. But I've had these experiences, and growing up in Brooklyn, New York, during the 80s and 90s actually gave me a lot of skills as well, believe it or not, to be able to be a responder in an urban environment where I had to deal with, the most, I don't know, how should I put it, unique individuals and also very dangerous situations. And from then on, I just fell in love with it. I wanted to stick with it. And I knew that it was God's work. That's how I saw it, and that's what helped me navigate it as well, mentally. Because you see these things, and you have to take them in. But I was able to do that. I stayed resilient, thank God. Thank Allah for the blessings to be able to stay resilient, stay strong, and continue ahead. I became a paramedic, then a lieutenant, a captain, a deputy chief, and now I'm a division chief. And I feel grateful and thankful to Allah for being able to do this and have these experiences. And I've been on some of the most tragic emergencies in our city, including 9/11. I was there when it collapsed. I had to run for my own life. I was there recently last year during the Twin Parks fire in the Bronx, where 17 people died, unfortunately, all Muslim, by the way. I was the only chief from my side there for about 45 minutes as all these critical patients were coming out one by one in cardiac arrest, including children. 32 critical patients, 64 patients total. And out of the 32, 17 did survive. And that's thanks to our team and our effort and the way we work together, our communication, and our just devotion to humanity and to our community, and just wanting to make sure that we give them every opportunity and a chance for to survival. So these have been my experiences. I wouldn't change anything. Yeah, they were challenging and hard to navigate. If you have family who are first responders, just know what they go through, and just try to be patient with them, and just be supportive. So it's a very important. I think people should consider this as a field. I know a lot of people in our community don't really think about EMS as a profession or first responder position as a profession, but it can be very rewarding in many ways. Even as far as financially and benefits and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of opportunity there, and you should definitely consider it. Anybody considering being a first responder? And ladies, listen, you guys could be firefighters, you could be paramedics, you could be cops, and we need you out there. So For the sisters, please, you should consider it as well, and don't, close the door on being a first responder. Okay, I know, like the doctor said, the parents want you to be engineers, they want you to be doctors. There are other opportunities here, right? What does the Quran say, right? If you save one life, it's like saving all of mankind, right? When you get these opportunities, not in an office, you get this when you're dealing with humans, in the real world. Okay, so thank you very much for having me and for the question.
Everybody, and I'm one of the organizers, but my whole team wanted me to be this panel. These guys are very esteemed, distinguished. We are entrepreneur and we run an organization. But just to kind of give you background, since I remember in high school, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to own my business. I wanted to be a billionaire. That was my goal when I was in high school. So I went to Baruch and got my degree in finance investment in honors. But I always loved entrepreneurship. So I started a job at HSBC. I was an analyst. I went to financial analyst, became an AVP and then a VP. I was a corporate banker dealing with the Fortune 500 wealth management and partner loans. But I always stick with the real estate and entrepreneurship, owning my own business. And in 2016, I left my job and started my own company, Kingsland Properties, which is a real estate development firm based out of New York City. We build grounds up new construction, condominium, management, and everything. It's a very unique company that it's 4-in-1. We are developers, managers, and investment and brokerage. So we try to combine it together and basically come with this unique model of real estate development that was never there before. Alhamdulillah has been great so far. We have done a lot of projects. I know everybody's interested in real estate. Every profession wants to own real estate. I'll be there. We'll be definitely talking. And the civic engagement part, right? Since I was a kid, my mother always told me, you got to deal with God. Whatever profit you make, you want to give back to the community. And as a Pakistani American, I see that there was a kind of a niche missing for those kind of the middle-aged youngs, people who are not getting what they need. There was a lot of older generation, and they were doing certain products, certain events that was not there. So we started American Pakistani Advocacy Group about 3.5 years ago. I already mentioned it was all about civic engagement. We give back to the community. We want everybody, all the youth. We have about 180 people here out of 200 people who are registered. So all of you should network, learn anything I could ask about civic engagement, real estate development, entrepreneurship. I'll be here and looking forward to it. So thank you guys.
Alaikum. I don't know where to start. I'd rather be chasing people than to speak in front of such an intelligent audience. It's really a proud moment because what Ali's doing and his team is doing is amazing on every level. Because we need one to guide our youth, our next generation. So this way the mistakes that we made or we're still making, you guys skip those mistakes so you can learn from them. And as one of the panelists also mentioned in the past too, you learn from the others. But make sure you're not afraid to make those mistakes also, because if you don't fall down when you're learning to walk, if you're not, if you're gonna be afraid of falling, you're not ever gonna walk. So make sure you do that. I can go on for a long time because it's a lot of experiences, a lot of hiccups that I had in my life growing up. But I just want to mention a few things. Listen, I know Farouk touched on it. Looking at the audience, looking at the schools that you're going, I don't see anyone going to either EMS or police department. But you know what? One thing I can tell you is that, just now, if you look at me, I can retire with full pension and full benefits and start a new career. No other place you're gonna get that, right? You're not gonna become a millionaire, but you are gonna have a good life and you're gonna have a good retirement, and you can start your second career. But that's on the side. But the struggles, as the previous panelists and even Farouk attest to that, because believe it or not, I knew him when we were growing up, and then we lost touch, and then we, came together and connected again. We had not an easy life. We didn't have any mentors. That's why it's very important when someone mentioned have a mentor and have sponsor. Our mentors were street. That's why I love working with the youth, is because when I look at myself, and I think Farouk can attest to that, is that when only thing we had available for us was a street corner, or other peer pressure, or other individuals from different communities that were either harassing our community at the time, so we had to step up and do something about it. And obviously when I'm talking about doing something, it's not in a positive manner. You know, the reason I mention that is now is because when you're going through a lot of issues as a youth, as going to school, you're going to be going through a lot of situations where it's going to be questionable. Just remember, do what's best from your heart. You can make mistakes. There's always a second chance, as long as you believe in it. As long as you believe fixing yourself, you can move up. Perfect example is right in front of you. You know, as growing up, I wasn't the nice kid that, you know, people would, you know, want to believe. My parents immigrated from Pakistan, you know, obviously when I was young. Father worked countless hours, my mom worked countless hours, odd jobs, and we were still spoiled. You know why? Because we wanted fresh roti and fresh salan. We didn't want no pita bread. If you guys know what, you know, it was very famous in our community before. So we wanted fresh stuff, and she did it. And I still thank her for that. But the main thing the reason I want to mention that is that, yes, we had a little hiccups growing up, going to high school, not being a good student, you know, not listening to the parents, all those things that I regret today. But at least I never gave up. I continued, and that's what I want every one of you here to do. You guys already passed the high schools, you're already probably close to graduation, but your life is still ahead of you. You cannot be afraid to make mistakes. You have to move up. So, long story short, you know, my father passed away when I was young. I was about to looking to go to the Marines, but I was the oldest. As you know, our family, you know, responsibility came on me. So I started working full time, stopped school, you know, got a chance, but I still wanted to do something, right? So I joined the Army National Guard, became a tanker, you know, served around 9/11 at World Trade Center. Then something came on me, and then I started going back to school. So I started small. I went to Kingsborough, did my computer information system and associate's degree, and then went to Baruch. Started with accounting, but guess what? I think accounting was too much for me. But again, with work and everything that I was doing, I had to take a little break. Again, I never gave up. I went back. Instead of doing accounting, I did my business administration. And then, obviously, in the meantime, I joined the police department. At that time when we joined, it wasn't that many police officers that are from Pakistani background. Maybe handful of people. And it wasn't easy. You know, you're going into a field which some of you are probably going to those unique fields that you don't have that many, either Muslims or Pakistanis in those fields. You're going to be looked upon differently. But again, you never give up. You know, I went out of my way, did my work, you know, set an example, because I always tell everyone, we're the ambassador. We're the ambassador of Islam and ambassador of Pakistan. Because guess what? Your actions are the ones that people are going to remember the whole Muslim community with. Your actions are going to dictate everyone's mindset for the future interaction they're going to have from your kids on. So make sure that, you know, you represent to the fullest. So long story short, again, I'm trying to keep it really brief, but so, you know, I had a successful career, I was saying, in the police department. And, you know, I was going to skip over this, but I'll just mention it. You know, I will always wanted to, you know, as you see the movies or you see the shows, you want to become a detective, you want to go, you know, solve cases, chase people. That was my thing. And then someone in the community, I guess they had a different plan for me. And they convinced me to go into community affairs instead of, chasing people. And I didn't want to do it, but when I took that role, the amount of, young people that I was able to help and guide, I think that was the best thing I ever did, because me going into community affairs, we were able to start a cricket league from the NYPD for the kids under 19. So for 12 years, I ran that league where we would have 300 to 500, maybe 400 or 500 kids every summer playing cricket with us in a positive limelight. Those kids, obviously that many kids I can't remember, but some of those kids, when they see me in gatherings or community events, they come up to you and they tell you the success they have in their life. Some of them are police officers, some of them are doctors, some of them are lawyers, businessmen or women. Believe it or not, we had a few females also, so which was good. So it's a heart touching because you actually made a difference in someone's life. And continue to do that because that person is going to remember she's going to replicate. So that's one thing, and then of course you take the exam, you become a sergeant, you become a lieutenant, you become a captain, and then currently, I think in the NYPD alone, I think there's about 50,000 employees, civilian in uniform, and I think only about 130 or 140 deputy inspectors. So just imagine I'm the first and only one, and inshallah there'll be more. There's more people that are joining, and then more people are trying to do the right thing and represent our community. So, like I said, I can go on, and of course I went back to school again. I got my master's in criminal justice. It's just learning, right? You keep on learning and you keep on moving forward. I'll end it here. Just make sure you help each other. Just remember, maybe someone else is helping you or somebody's not helping you, but just remember someone that's out there that is really in need of guidance. And because of your 2 minutes or 2 seconds, it can make a big difference, not only in that person's life, their family, their whole generation, and also your community. So please be out there to help. Volunteer in a program in APAG or other in your masjids or in your community centers. Do that. I think I've met Saad over there. I met him as a Boy Scout when in Islamic Center of Long Island. These guys doing amazing work because they mentoring the next generation. So I'll stop here because I gotta force myself to stop. But please help each other. Thank you.
Hey, assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Asim Rahman. I'm the Commissioner and Chief Administrative Law Judge at Oath, the Office of Administrative Trials and Hearings. What that means is you've got New York City government, and New York City government is broken up into a series of agencies, and I run one of those agencies. But the first thing I have to say is I was a little troubled to hear Deputy Inspector Rana to use words like retirement and pension because we can't afford for leaders like him to lead public service and lead the police department. You've been a role model for a lot of people, and we need you there for a little while. I also want to just briefly say thank you to Ali Rashid and APAG and Hunter College and everyone here who helped organize this. It's a fantastic event. When I was coming up through college, I had nothing like this, and so to hear all of you and meet all of you and being able to share whatever kind of things I've learned with getting these gray hairs, I'm happy to do that. I'm not really sure if we need this event because I had the chance to talk to some of the students earlier and I was extremely impressed, so I don't know what new things I could teach some of you since you're already doing fantastic work. But I believe the question was what inspired you and how's it going so far? So, I'm a lawyer by trade, and in college I thought I can enter the workforce, but I kind of want an advanced degree. I came up around people. My father had a medical degree, my mother had a public health degree. I thought, let me get a trade, let me put a trade under my belt and get a trade degree. And I looked around, and law seemed interesting to me, and I threw my hat in that ring. I started to talk to lawyers and learn about what they did. But I can't say I was really inspired yet until I was here in the US and I went to a conference I think it was like an UPNA conference or something like that with my family, and I heard there was going to be this speaker talking about human rights in Pakistan. It's like, that's interesting, because I had a vision of Pakistan. It was the vision of Pakistan that I knew from going there as a kid and visiting family and hanging out and watching TV and playing with cousins. But I walked into this room and I heard this attorney, Asma Jahangir, a legendary civil rights attorney from Pakistan. And she started to lay out in detail a series of human rights abuses that she had witnessed in Pakistan. And it just opened my eyes up to the country in ways I'd never seen before. But more important than sharing the information is she explained what she was doing about it and what she and her organization, the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, were doing. And I was so moved and inspired, and I realized this is the power of the law. This is what people with these legal skills can do to make change. I went to law school, came back to New York, got my start working in the federal courts downtown, and then joined a law firm. Worked in the private sector of law firms about 8 years, then worked in-house. So I was working at a company, at MetLife, on their legal team, and then ultimately made the shift to public service. Was in government, first doing police oversight for the Department of Investigation, joined the law department as chief of staff, and was then the chief lawyer for the Department of Corrections. So you all know about Rikers. I was the lawyer in charge of the city's jails, and then was appointed by the mayor to this role I have now. So that was a very kind of lightning speed review of what I've done. But coming back to this word inspire, I mean, how many of you either ask yourself or get asked regularly, you know, what do you want to do when you grow up? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of hands, right? I am more than 20 years into my legal career. I'm still asking myself what I want to do when I grow up. And I don't mean that, I mean that a little bit as a joke. I'm not getting many laughs, so apparently it didn't fall well. But I am serious when I say that, and that's because when I left law school and when I was in that first job working at a law firm, I had no idea that someday I'd be running a city agency. That wasn't in the plan, run a city agency, but I'm here now. And some of you have a plan, and some of you have a vision. I want to be a plumber. I want to be the best plumber I can. I'm going to learn. I'm going to be an apprentice. I'm going to build my business. I'm going to own a plumbing company, just to pick an example. If you have that type of clarity of vision of the career, that's beautiful. But you don't have to have that clarity of vision. What you should have, if you don't know exactly where you're going, you should know what your calling is. You should really spend a lot of time, and many of us who are kind of have these gray hairs are still kind of figuring out what that calling is. But I learned very early on for me when I started my career, I'm not sure what specifically I want to do, but my calling is service. If I am doing something where I feel like I'm able to serve my community or serve my public or even just serve this business client in front of me, then I feel like I'm fulfilled. And for some people that calling is going to be very different. That calling might be business for you. That calling might be family. That calling might be faith. That calling might be the arts. And you're going to find that calling in your career or outside of your career. And so when I was this lawyer at this high-powered law firm doing work for Fortune 500 companies, I was serving those clients, but I was also seeing what was happening around New York City to the Muslim community. And I was seeing that members of our community were under scrutiny or rights were being violated. This is right after 9/11. And I thought, well, what can I do about it if I'm not doing that as my job? So me and a bunch of lawyers got together and we started the Muslim Bar Association in New York. And we brought together attorneys who, from all different fields, were willing to give their time to help support our broader community. And that's a way of service, even if we weren't getting paid for it. And so there are so many things that you can do in and out of your career that help kind of fulfill that nourishment, that need that you have. And so I feel so honored and so thrilled that I get to have this job right now where, and so to answer your question, how's it going? I think it's going pretty well because I've got this great gig where I get to run the city's administrative tribunal, which means that if any of you are out in the park and you get a summons from the Parks Department, or if you have a business or your family has a business and they get a Department of Buildings violation and you want to fight those, or if you're a city employee and you're about to be terminated and you want a fair hearing, we're the court that gives you that fair hearing. And so I had this great job where we get to promote access to justice in New York City. And so I feel very lucky and fortunate to have this job. And it is something that I take seriously. I forget it sometimes, and then Ali reminds me that I'm the senior most appointee in this administration who's Pakistani American. Now, it's not something I think about every day, but it's important because we need to see role models. We need to see people who look like us in our government. Because, like I said, when I was coming up the ranks, I didn't see people like me, let alone in government, but elsewhere in the workforce. And so you all are lucky that you have this panel and the prior panel to take advantage of. And you really should take advantage of it. You probably, during the food, gonna go and chat with your friends and catch up with people. I encourage you to break that habit. You can see them later. Approach someone you don't know. It could be a student from another school, or approach any of us and just lay on the questions. Because we are here today because we all saw that this is an amazing opportunity to share whatever wisdom we have. And so come and ask us questions. Thank you very much.
But it's a great honor and a privilege to be here today at a very, very important professional networking event. We never used to have this, as has been said by our esteemed panelists. And everything of value that I could say to you today has already been said. So you guys are amazing. As a Consul General, it has been one of my goals in communicating with the diaspora and with our community to actually try and interact with our Pakistani American youth. I don't think we were very focused on that because we were very used to doing very typical events. But already in the last three and a half years that I've been here, I see a change in the community happening already, where we are as a community very focused on your success and on highlighting your achievements and ensuring that you have role models, Pakistani Americans, men and women, that you can look up to, that you can learn from, and that you can sort of interact with, network with, and to derive very, very valuable lessons from. I'm very grateful to everyone who was on the panel today, because the lessons that they have given to you and the stories that we have heard today have been extremely inspirational. Anyone in the crowd who wants to be a diplomat? Okay, there are three hands. Okay, so some of you may be watching the Netflix Diplomat show. Yes, what do you think of that? Pretty good. Pretty good. Well, that's not what real diplomacy is. So I have news for you. That's not what real diplomacy is. Real diplomacy is, like all the other professions that are being mentioned and where we have representatives from different professions, it's very, very hard. Just to give you an example, today is a Saturday. Today is supposed to be a holiday for some of us. But in a diplomat's life, especially a diplomat serving a large community like ours, in New York, it can be a range of different activities, from the event that we had for women leaders in the Consul General in the morning, to the networking event that I am here at, to His Majesty's Consul General's invitation to be a part of the coronation event that they are doing, to the facilitation that we do for so many of our people who are here right now in the town, to answering to your consular requests. There is a lot that happens in a diplomat's life. So for you, I need gorgees that I really wanted to mention. So we had two great panels and Zabardast Qisam ke panelists, but we had only one woman Pakistani American panelist. We need to change that. Because wherever I go, I meet amazing Pakistani American women doing amazing things. So we need more women here. And day before yesterday, or was it yesterday, I was at Hunter College. And I want to give a big shout out to Kanza, who has, for the very first time, set up a PSO at Hunter, and we're very proud of what Kanza has been able to achieve and her team, and I see her going a long way, and it is due to your mentorship and your events and APAG actually taking the lead and, you know, sort of highlighting the achievements of our youth and giving them these valuable lessons that we have people like Kanza here today. Thank you for the amazing work that you do for Pakistani American students.
जी आज अमेरिकन पाकिस्तानी एडवोकेसी ग्रुप ने पहली बार एक यूनिक न्यूयॉर्क में एक इवेंट किया जिसमें अपने जो भी कितने भी कॉलेज न्यूयॉर्क के उनके PSO को हमने कोलैबोरेट किया, उनके साथ हमने इसको इकट्ठा किया और उसको हमने यहाँ पे एक प्रोफेशनल नेटवर्किंग इवेंट किया। यहाँ पे जितने भी फॉर्च्यून 500 के प्रोफेशनल्स हैं वो यहाँ पे अवेलेबल थे, आए, उन्होंने बच्चों को बताया अपनी नेटवर्किंग अपॉर्चुनिटी के लिए, अपनी जॉब्स अपॉर्चुनिटी के लिए। और इसमें हमने 2 पैनलिस्ट किए। पहले तो हमारा स्टेम पैनलिस्ट था जो साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी, इंजीनियरिंग और मैथ पे था, जिसमें सईद अली तिरमिजी जो एक्सेंचर से हैं, मोहम्मद अरशद फेडरल रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ न्यूयॉर्क, वी हैव आफाक सोलारी जो सिविल इंजीनियर हैं, और हमारी जो डॉक्टर साकिबा सैयद जो डॉक्टर हैं, ताकि उस स्टेम का एक पब ने बनाया। उन्होंने अपने बच्चों को बताया, अपॉर्चुनिटीज भी बताई और कई अपॉर्चुनिटीज भी बताई कि इंटर्नशिप हैं, आप उनको रीच आउट करें। और दूसरा जो पैनलिस्ट था वो सिविल सर्विस, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप एंड सिविल एंगेजमेंट एंड पब्लिक वर्क्स, जिसमें हमारे पास अदील राना डेप्यूटी इंस्पेक्टर, फरूक मोहम्मद, आसिम रहमान और माई सेल्फ थे, जिसमें हमने सिविल एंगेजमेंट, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का बताया। और इसका यही मकसद था, देखें इसके 3 मकसद थे। एक तो जो कॉलेज के डिफरेंट कॉलेज वो इनको कनेक्ट करें, जो कॉलेज हैं वो प्रोफेशनल के साथ कनेक्ट हो और जो प्रोफेशनल है प्रोफेसर के साथ कनेक्ट हो। एक बड़ा यूनिक इवेंट था। हमने न्यूयॉर्क सिटी में पेंट हाउस में इसको हमने बनाया और इसमें हमारे काउंसिल जनरल ने बहुत ज़्यादा ऑलमोस्ट ओवर 220 पीपल अटेंडेड इज़ अ यूनिक इवेंट। और इसकी हमारी 200 का टारगेट था, हमारे वो पहले वीक ऑलमोस्ट फुल हो गया था। तो इसका हम इंशाल्लाह ऐसे प्रोग्राम आगे भी जारी रहेंगे। जैसे आपको पता है अमेरिकन पाकिस्तानी एडवोकेसी में पहली बार स्कॉलरशिप हम न्यूयॉर्क में लॉन्च की है, तो इससे ही इसका ये सेकंड इवेंट था और इसका इंशाल्लाह हम कंटिन्यू भी रहेंगे। और आप ये देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ पे एक ब्यूटीफुल एनवायरनमेंट था, जो यूथ प्रोफेशनल्स कमिंग टुगेदर, लर्निंग, नेटवर्किंग एंड हैविंग गुड टाइम। और इंशाल्लाह इसको आगे भी करते रहेंगे। एंड कीप सपोर्टिंग अमेरिकन पाकिस्तानी एडवोकेसी ग्रुप एंड थैंक यू फॉर ऑल माई टीम हु पुट दिस एफर्ट एंड ऑल माई APAC बोर्ड मेंबर हु मेक्स दिस इवेंट हैपन।
बहुत मुबारकबाद देना चाहूँगी अली रशीद, APAC और हमारे जो नौजवान पाकिस्तानी अमेरिकन बच्चे यहाँ पर आए और बहुत ज़बरदस्त पहली दफ़ा मैं देख रही हूँ एक प्रोफेशनल नेटवर्किंग का इवेंट है जिसमें बच्चों को जो पाकिस्तानी अमेरिकन इंस्पिरेशनल रोल मॉडल्स हैं उनसे बातचीत करने का और उनके एक्सपीरियंस से फ़ायदा उठाने का मौका मिल रहा है। सो कंग्रेचुलेशंस टू एवरीवन हु ऑर्गेनाइज्ड इट एंड ऑल्सो टू द पीपल हु पार्टिसिपेटेड इन इट।
Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.